Hello, everybody. Alrighty then. So we're at Thursday now, our last news day of the week before we get to Friday here. Um, our weekly look back at um, historical comic retrospect. On tonight's show, of course, we will be doing our weekly look at from Bleeding Fool. We'll be taking a look at the latest edition of the Indie Comic Showcase. Among the titles include one that's kind of caught my eye a little bit, interesting enough. Poop Man. Wonder what that's all about. As always, guys, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on here. That'd be great. Also, if anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions best of our ability. We're gonna at least give it a few minutes, give people a chance to get in here. So I hope everybody's had a good week thus far. Scooby Dooby Doo, looking for you. Scooby Dooby Doo, where are ya? All the stars are here, waiting for you. Couldn't have a show without ya. Scooby, Scooby Doo. Hey Scooby, where are you? Over here. Da 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 da. Alrighty then. Well, anyways. Alrighty then. So with that, let's see now, where are we at? I already kind of went out. So, of course, tonight, we're going to, of course, um, as I said, we're going to look over the independent comic, indie comic showcase article. We might look at one other article about Bleeding Full and feel there's time. Plus, we have the wrestling wrap up as well as this day in each history. Oh, let's see now. So 3.5 minutes. Yeah, I guess we. Let's see now. Let me just do one more little thing here before we get started. Let's see now. Alrighty then. All right, so all right, we'll go ahead and get started with just after the 4 minute mark. As I said, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. And we will go ahead and I will go ahead and try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So on with the show here. So here's our first article we're going to look at here on this, maybe the first of probably two, depending on how fast we get through. Hey, Rick, thanks for popping in. Hope all is well with you. I know you had kind of a tough week thus far, but hopefully things are getting better. Well, I hope you're prepared to laugh because there's an interesting comic title among these comic titles. Sounds kind of funny. Never thought I'd see the day when I'd see a comic title, a comic called Poop Man. Ah, Indie Comic Showcase number 238. Poop Man, The Dead Crew, and Between Angels and Demons. Wow, this sounds like a very dark week for comics, doesn't it? A dark and very, maybe somewhat ugly um, thing for comics. So, article by Chris Braley published yesterday. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent creators that are currently crowdfunding their project, crowdsourcing their funding some way, or just simply self publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. But we have standing crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. The Dead Crew #1 by Tim Tyler. Sounds like a crappy uh sounds like a crappy character. Yeah, I can see the pun there. I hope the character isn't an asshole. Yes, all the bowel jokes, here they come. Toilet bowl humor, always something that everybody chuckles at. But anyway, that's not the first title we're like the Dead Crew #1 from Tim Tyler here, from the Rat House comic group. Okay, so let me do this as well. And this is a Fun My Comic project. All right. So if you want to, I'll go into the interview here in a moment, but here's the link if you want to check this particular comic out. There's the link to the Dead Crew #1 there if you guys want to check that out. All right, so let's get into this. So, Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Tim. What's your elevator pitch for the Dead Crew? Tim Tyler, a family of monsters protect the night from things worse than themselves. Sounds like there's some comedic elements here to it. Huh. Chris, where did the idea for this comic come from and made you decide to publish it? Tim, I wanted to capture the spirit of 80s teen books like Wolfman Perez's New Teen Titans and Claremont and Burns' Uncanny X-Men, while throwing in some good old Bronze Age feelings. Since most of my professional comics career was spent in the indie scene, I threw in some of that as well. So I guess kind of a nice little mix and match of stuff here, yes? Chris, what kind of comic readers is this suited for? Um, who is it aimed at? Let's see. Tim responds. Fans of team books, Bronze Age Marvel, Monsters, and the Supernatural, just plain fun. I would say Bronze Age DC too, because they did talk about the new Teen Titans books as well. Chris, tell us about your style and creative process and how you develop them. Tim, my style has many influences. Kirby, Byrne, Buscema, Perez, Wrightson, Corbin, uh, Vigil, and some are Robert Crumb at times. My comics come from a desire to see things that I would have loved to buy on the racks in the day. Chris, how far along is the book? Tim, issue number 1 is completed and sitting in the studio, ready to ship. Issue 2 is finished as well and is currently at the printer. Chris, what have you been learning from self publishing, crowdfunding, and creating through this process? Tim, just be yourself. Don't try to entertain or please everyone because it just isn't possible. Please yourself first, and the ones that dig it will find it. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? Tim, I have 20 issues plotted. I'm pretty happy with every story idea and can honestly say that every single one is a keeper. I'll just concentrate on one issue at a time, and as long as people dig it, I'll keep doing them. The Dead Crew, a Red House Comics publication. Number 2. Chris, any special features in this book? In parentheses, or if crowdfunding, special perks or tiers? Um, Tim responds, I have character and villain corner box price cards that are free and random with each cover, and a Steven Amazing Spider-Man Butler print in the higher tiers. I guess Stephen Butler was somebody who worked on Amazing Spider-Man. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Tim, if you decide to back and like the book, take it take it to your shop owner and let them see it. Indies depend on word of mouth, especially the ones that aren't featured in previews. And here we go. Here's the one we've been waiting for. All right. Poop Man by Andy Statmiller. Ah, yuck, yuck, yucky, ew, ew. That's definitely something even I'd be running away from. A literal living piece of feces. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Oh boy. I can't wait to read this interview. Anyways, if you guys do want to check out more information and I'll go back to it and Rick, let me just do this right here. So if you want to check out this book or this comic, do that. Let's. I shouldn't poop on a character I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's really pooping on it. It's just you know, you know, but considering that he is a literal living piece of poop, you know, it is kind of funny. But I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to find out. Of course, this is the link to the last entry we just did, and Jr. saying, "Hail Xenu and Xena, Mike and Rick." You missed my comment above. Yes, I did. And then now this is the link to the one we're about to do. Poop Man. Yuck. uh, I'm good without poop comic things. No kidding, RJR. But let's read the interview first before we do like really, for lack of a better term, I guess, dump on it. Oh boy. I can't wait to see how this interview goes. All right, so Chris Braley, welcome to this week's Indie Comics Showcase. Andy, what's the pitch for Poop Man? Andy Statmiller. Poop Man is a satirical story of crime and corruption in the big city. Issue number 1 is the exciting origin story of Poop Man. In this issue, Poop Man will battle the evil drug lord, the Syringe. Man, it kind of sounds cartoon. Granted, adult cartoony, but cartoony nonetheless. Chris, where did the idea for this comic come from and made you decide to self-publish it? Andy Statmiller. The character started as a joke that my wife Kaya came up with. She doodled the Poop Man character, and I took it to the next level by drawing comic book cover for him. 3 years went by, and I decided to actually write a story and turn it into a comic. Oh boy. I almost have to wonder if maybe Andy and his wife Kaya are a couple of copophiles. That's COPPOPHILE people. You know, PHILE. You would know if you know that particular suffix, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, we live in San Francisco, California. Well, that explains a lot. No wonder he decided to come out with a comic called Poop Man. He lives in San Francisco, the poop capital of the world. Walk down any street and it's littered with people's feces all over the place. Oh boy. No wonder the guy decided to write a comic. Let's see. Please don't crap on my comics, okay? Hey, JR. Getting some sleep, Rick? All right. So, anyways, continuing on with the interview here. Let's see. Oh yeah, which has earned a reputation of having poop everywhere on the streets, as well as a huge. That should say a, not an. Huge drug problem right in the heart of the city. I was inspired by where I live and wanted to say something about it. Oh, you definitely said something, dude. I'm sure that your neighbors and everybody in San Francisco are just loving the fact that you're reminding everybody that that San Fran is the poop capital of the world. Oh boy. What kind of comic readers is this suited for, and who is it aimed at? There is drug use in the comic, so I would say it's for mature readers. Yeah. Also, having a big piece, a living piece of feces as your main character would make it a pretty adult comic too. I mean, this is probably even more so than Crayon Shin Chan, which is a manga and anime series where they have like where they have a lot of toilet humor as well. Chris, tell us about your style and creative process and how you developed them. Andy Statmiller, the style of my art for this comic is more on the dark and gritty side. I was inspired by the artwork of early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic, Sam Keith's artwork on the Max and Robert Crumb's black and white work. I've worked as an illustrator and graphic designer for many years, so the drawing was fun. The writing part was challenging because it's not my normal role. This is my first time seriously writing a comic book. So Andy's more of an artist, and more of an artist than he is a writer. Kind of an interesting first foray into writing about a giant piece of living feces. Let's see. Let's see, Chris. Talk about your creative team and that contributed to this project. Andy, I had input from my wife during the process, especially with the writing to make sure it makes sense and flows good. Um, but other than that, I did all the penciling, inking, coloring for the cover and text layout. Let's see, Chris, what's your production workflow like? And if it's not complete, how far along is the book? Andy Statmiller, or Andy, all of the art is complete. I just need to get the files ready to send to the printer. What have you been learning from self-publishing, crowdfunding, and creating through this process? Um, Andy, I learned that making a 40-page comic is a lot of work. I now see why people work on teams to get a book out. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube about self-publishing. It's been a great learning experience. This project has really brought back the excitement I had back in the early '90s about comic books. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? Andy Statmiller. Um, I already am thinking of stories for future issues. I would love to do a mini series of 6 issues. I will first see how number one does. Okay, 6 issues of a giant piece of living crap. Oh, there are so many funny puns that can come out of this. Yes, you know, I guess he lives in San Francisco, so that's where the inspiration comes from. But but with some of the stuff that's been out there in the last couple of years in the corporate comics for the mainstream comic, you kind of wonder if they're all from San Fran. So then we have some. People just dropped in here. Wow, we had quite a. Oh, let's see. Let me. Jason's back. Okay, what's your favorite? Um, I have no idea what that even is. Let's see. Amberly Connor is still active. Yeah, she is because I know she actually provided the voice of Ost Harai in the Rising of the Shield Hero. That much I do know. Let's see. Sin flagging. Is that like getting a sleep stack? I don't know. They're talking about the poop comic. I don't know. Let's see. ER Lorenzo Store. Hail JR Exner. Huh. Yeah, I have been having. I've been starting to have normal sleep patterns again. And here, let's see. I am Woody in a different costume. Oh, okay, that explains a lot of this. Vic Mignogna is still working on anime, or is he banned from his pre? Well, last I heard, I haven't heard too much about this in a while, Jason. Um, I think Vic started up his own company with the people who do anime Matsuri. So he's probably still doing. I know he's still doing some work. He still on Wednesdays has his Twitch channel where he goes on there. So I just haven't really heard too much of what he's doing of late. Cool thin figuring. What's your favorite anime isekai? I have been getting in. Well, my favorite. I've been getting into Rising of the Shield Hero. That one's pretty cool. Um, Just right out of South Park. If you're talking about the comic, then yeah, um, with the Christmas poo thing. Uh, Mr. Honky, the Christmas poo. He loves me, and I. Oh God. Ah, Night of the Living Potty. No kidding. What's your favorite Pocket Monster show? I like all of them pretty equally. For those who don't know, Pocket Monster is the full title of Pokemon. Um, Back in the 70s, the Pocket Monster myth was a common seduction. Yeah, but in this case, he's talking about Pokemon, Woody. So, or at least that's what the cool guy is. Cool guy has said. Ointment. Okay, what's your favorite anime ending? I can't think of one right now. Anyways, let's get back to this article here. And if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people on here. That'd be appreciated. Also, um, if anything here grabs your attention, to feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the question that's of our ability. With that, let's go ahead and get back to what we're reading here. So let's see. Chris asks, any special features in this book, or parentheses, or if crowdfunding, special perks or tiers? Andy Statmiller, with the crowdfunding campaign, you will be able to get other rewards only available through the campaign. I have an art print I will have be limited to the number of orders for it, signed and numbered. Also, a set of 9 trading cards, only available through the campaign. So I guess these are the examples here. Oh man, Poop Man in color. Yuck. Yuck. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Hope you guys like the comic. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to share. Between Demons and Angels, Volume 1 by Kurt Parker. Let me just grab something here real quick. All right, so here is the link to the comic we're about to go over right now. You guys want to check that one out? And, well, I mean, you get a girl to reach into your pocket to find something. Yeah. Yeah, but that wasn't the that wasn't the type of pocket monster that I think Jason was talking about there, Woody. Yeah, so anyways. Hey Myers, I love you. Okay, so anyways, with that. So Chris Braley, briefly tell us the elevator pitch for your comment. Kurt Parker, Between Demons and Angels, is a full-color 80-page dark fantasy graphic novel set in an ancient time. A group of warrior angels have been sent to Earth to locate and destroy demons hiding within the corrupt ruling elite. This is an ongoing series. The next book already in the works. And this is, of course, a Fun My Comic project as well. Chris, where did the idea for this comic come from? Kurt, back in 2005, I was thinking about fantasy world settings in films, novels, and comics and wondered, quote, what is the dark side of these fantasy worlds, unquote. It became clear that it would be a very dark, deep, complicated world with many power struggles and conflicts, endless material to work with. Chris, what kind of comic readers is this suited for, and who is it aimed at? Kurt, this graphic novel series is best suited for anyone who enjoys medieval fantasy or dark fantasy stories. For example, Lord of the Rings, Conan the Barbarian, Excalibur, The Witcher. This is intended for mature audiences. In parentheses here, there is a parental warning label on the cover, unquote, due to the adult nature and themes. Chris, tell us about your style and creative process and how you develop them. Kurt, I started drawing as far back as I can remember, and I started writing at 7 years old. I continued writing and illustrating throughout my entire life, so my style has changed over the years. The overall writing of the story comes first, mapping out the story plots, characters, character settings, etc. Then I began designing the characters and the overall visual style of the locations and settings. I am the sole creator. Everything from the story concept to the writing, pencils, inks, colors, lettering, and digital work has been my own. I work on the project 7 days a week, some days longer than others. This graphic novel is complete, so now it needs to be printed and presented to the public. The amount of books printed will depend on the outcome of the Fund My Comic campaign. So, sounds like this guy devoted his life to this book. That's kind of interesting. Let's see what you guys are. Even if you're okay. Anyways, Chris, what have you been learning from self-publishing, crowdfunding, creating through this process? Kurt, I can't tell you how much I have learned from self-publishing over the last 3 years. You have to have discipline and solid work ethic. You cannot give up no matter how many complications arise. There is an audience for your project. Challenge is finding it, but your audience is out there. Hmm. Let's see. Yeah, so this will be the one. All right. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? Kurt, once volume one is once volume one was complete, I began working on the next book in the series. This next book will be 44 pages long, and I have already completed 24 pages, over halfway through the book. Then, currently, I am sketching the cover, and I'm looking for a cover artist to possibly do a variant cover for the next book. Demons and Angels. Anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Kurt, this is my first crowdfunding campaign for my first self published work. So I hope people will be interested in something original. I hope to gain feedback, positive or negative, from readers so I can continue to improve this new graphic novel series. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign, or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here and follow Indie Comic Showcase um, on Twitter at Indie Comics, and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Till next time, support Indie Comics. Da 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 da. Anyways, all right. Alrighty then. So there we go with that. Um, and of course, I did put the links in if you guys want to go check out those projects. Um, so with that, now we're going to go ahead and let's see, because we're at right at 39 minutes here. So let's start to wrap things up. I'm going to go through the wrestling wrap up. There's a few things going about. Quite a busy weekend coming up here in the world of professional wrestling. Um, let's see. In WWE news, the WWE Endeavor merger is set to be complete. They are saying possibly by next week, as there is some concern there will be some layoffs. They're not expecting any layoffs for the talent. Okay, now this weekend, this Saturday, or actually tomorrow night, but it might be more like Saturday in India because the WWE will be holding its Superstar Spectacle 2023 in Hyderabad, India. Already set in India will include Rhea Ripley defending the WWE Women's World Title against Natalya. Well, apparently, I guess they forgot to change this because, according to this, they have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending the unified tag titles against the team of Indus Sure of Senga and Veer with Jinder Mahal. But however, Owens and Zayn had actually lost the title to Damian Priest and Finn Balor of Judgment Day. So I don't know if they'll be taking over that slot or not because I haven't joined it on this site yet. And John Cena will be teaming with World Champion Seth Rollins to take on the duo from Imperium of Giovanni Vici, Ludwig Kaiser. So, and in another piece of WWE news / wrestling news in general, Adnan Al-Kaisi passed away at the age of 84. Now, WWF fans might remember him as General Adnan, who was, of course, the manager of Sergeant Slaughter and Colonel Mustafa, a.k.a. Iron Sheik, during the early 90s, during the whole Iraqi war situation. Al-Kaisi also had previously been in the WWF as one half as former tag team champion, teaming with Jay Strongbow. I believe it was in 1974 or 6, somewhere around there. I think it was 76, in which they won the WWF World Tag Team titles. He had gone on to manage in the AWA with which he led Jerry Blackwell and Ken Patera to the AWA World Tag Team titles. Also managed the late great Bruiser Brody during his time there as well. So Adnan Al-Kaisi, also known as Billy White Wolf, and known as Billy White Wolf and General Adnan passed away just at the age of 84. Again, was wrestling, So with that, we're going to do a quick moment of silence for him, then we will move on to the AEW news. Alrighty then. So with that, moving on to AEW news. So AEW announced its next big pay-per-view will be Sunday, October the 1st. Silence. Yeah, I did a moment of silence. Maybe not as long as usual, but I did the moment of silence. Anyways, moving on to AEW news here. They did announce their next big pay-per-view, which is coming up on Sunday, October 1st, Dreamfest, coming out of Seattle. Set to be a tribute show to the late, great Tony Inoki, who passed away earlier this year. Inoki, of course, one of the two former proteges of the Pure Wrestling legend Rikidozen, along with Shoei Giant Baba. Let's see. Of course, he went on in 1972 to start up New Japan Pro Wrestling. Had won several titles over the years, including being a former WWF or WWF World Martial Arts Champion. Of course, Antonio Inoki also had the very famous or infamous, depending upon how you look at it, boxer versus wrestler match with Muhammad Ali back in 1976. So, and on last night's Dynamite, you saw Jon Moxley and Chris Statlander successfully defend the respective titles. Jon Moxley, who had just won the AEW International title from Orange Cassidy at All Out on Sunday, had a successful title defense against AR Fox. Chris Statlander successfully defended the TNT or the TBS championship against Emi Sakura. And you also had the first two quarterfinals of the tournament to see who would face MJF for the AEW World Title in 2 weeks at Grand Slam, at Dynamite Grand Slam. In the first quarterfinal match, Roderick Strong defeated Trent Beretta, and then Darby Allin in the main event on the evening. Darby Allin defeated Nick Wayne. So thanks. Good. Yeah. Muhammad Ali, we shall not see his like again. Yeah, probably. Anyways, as we also, there were some segments on there last night, including MJF being confronting Samoa Joe for Samoa Joe's behavior at All Out, setting up Samoa Joe is also slated to be on the tournament as he'll be facing Jeff Hardy on this Friday's Rampage. The other quarterfinal match of Jay Lethal taking on Penta El Medio. The winners of those matches will take on each other. The semifinals for that tournament will be happening on this weekend's Collision, and then the finals will be taking place next Wednesday's Dynamite. To see who will face MJF at Grand Slam. Also, you also had Swerve Strickland coming out to confront Adam Page, basically telling him get out of his way so he can take his spot. Because he is saying that Page doesn't acts like he doesn't care for the spot that he's in. Now, theoretically, this could set up a possible faction feud between the Elite and the Mogul Embassy. We'll just have to wait and see. So that's some of the highlights of what happened there. Impact Wrestling has a big weekend ahead here. As tomorrow night is Victory Road, and then on Saturday is the taping of Impact Wrestling's 1000th episode. Smart kid. Yeah. Yes, Impact Wrestling. Well, Victory Road tomorrow night in White Plains, New York, and then on the next night, the 1000th episode of Impact Wrestling's TV program will be taped and will be broadcast the following Thursday, the 14th. So let me see here. All right, so the card for Victory Road tomorrow night, the main event will see Trinity defend the Knockouts World title against Alicia Edwards. The Knockouts title is That's basically their women's division. The Rascals will be defending the Impact World Tag Team titles against Motor City Machine Guns of Impact World Champion Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Josh Alexander takes on Steve Macklin. PCO takes on Bully Ray in an Anything Goes match. Leo Rush defends the X Division title against Kushida, who's cashing in his X Gauntlet win match for that. In a renewal of a rivalry, the returning Jordan Grace takes on Deonna Purrazzo. Jordan Grace just having re-signed with Impact recently. And in the opener, in a title versus career match, digital media champion Kenny King will defend his title against Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer has put up his career. Tommy Dreamer was upset at Kenny for Kenny showing lack of respect to the locker room. So with that, let's see now. All right, let's see. All sound like pretty good booking. Where do I go to watch it again? Well, YouTube for one. Let's see. Well, YouTube has BTI on before the Impact. They'll probably be talking about it a little bit, along with what happened. What's happening on last week's episodes of Impact. Access is where the regular Impact Wrestling show is, and then Fight TV. So. Let's see now. Now on this Saturday's Impact Wrestling 1000 set up for that show. Opening match sees Dirty Dango taking on Jake Something in a 10-woman tag match. The Beautiful People make their return. Angelina Love in a wrestling capacity, Velvet Sky as her corner person. Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and a mystery partner will be taking on the team of Awesome Kong. Let's see, Impact Hall of Famers Awesome Kong, Gail Kim, Jordan Grace, Trinity, and a mystery partner of their own. Devin Hughes will be making his return to Impact. His brother Devon, as he'll be teaming with Bully Ray against opponents still to be named. In a mixed tag team match, Frankie Kazarian and Original Knockout Tracy Brooks take on the Edwards, Eddie Edwards and Alicia Edwards. And then in the main event, Alex Shelley defends the Impact World title against Trey Miguel. That's coming up this weekend for Impact Wrestling. Okay, thanks. I'll take a look. And also, and NWA also announced this past week their next pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. Let's see. Sunday. Let's see. Is it Sunday? Let's see. Actually, no. On Friday, I think it's actually Friday. No, actually, no. It is. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. On Saturday, October 28th, NWA will be holding its next pay-per-view, Saman. I guess it's named after a pagan festival or something like that. What I understand, according to Father James Mitchell. So their next big pay-per-view, Power, which you can see on YouTube, has gone through some changes. Most notably, of course, model and former interviewer Myra Diaz Gomes who's known in the NWA as May Valentine, has apparently left the company. She, in an interview given just prior to the anniversary show back on the 23rd, she noted that she would not be at the anniversary show or would be back for the new season of Power. And it looks like NWA has changed things up there a bit, among other things, as it looks like some people might be gone. So I guess we'll just wait and see how that all turns out. Well, that's it for the wrestling wrap up. So now let's go ahead and wrap things up. Today being Thursday, September 7th, 2023. So let's take a look back. This day in each history. History! So first off, we're going to head back to 1963. As on this date, back in 1963, the AWA and Omaha World titles are unified as the AWA World title when AWA World Champion Vern Gagne wins the Omaha World title from Fritz von Erich in a title unification match in Omaha. So on this date, 60 years ago today, Vern Gagne would defeat Fritz von Erich to unify the AWA and Omaha World Heavyweight titles. Neat, yep. Neat history, yeah. Yep. Yep, that's what it is. Anyways, getting ready to move on to the next piece in each history as we move ahead to 1993, 30 years ago today. On this date, 30 years ago today, the 70th issue of Betty and Veronica of Archie Comics went on sale on this date in 1993, 30 years ago today. Among the features included all four of them were Betty and Veronica involved. Treasure hunt, making a scene, it came that close, and the unkindest cut. So that happened 30 years ago today. And then, now, moving ahead to 1998, 25 years ago today, as on this date in 1998, RoboCop Alpha Commando would premiere, produced by MGM, would premiere in syndication on this date back in 1998, 25 years ago today. RoboCop Alpha Commando from MGM Television Animation would premiere in syndication on this date 25 years ago. Gagne definitely pushed himself as champion of the AWA too much. Yeah. Yeah, that was often the complaint, you know. And in the territory days, you did see stuff like that. He not only pushed himself, but he pushed his son to an extent too. Now, granted, Greg did have some skill. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like the Gula situation in the Mid America territory in Tennessee, where from everything I've heard and seen, Nick Gulas would push his son George, and George was really not considered that good of a wrestler. The only reason he even got pushed was because he was the promoter's son. He was probably the last person to defeat Terry Bollea ever. As Terry Bollea, yeah. Terry Bollea, who we all know as Hulk Hogan. Now, granted, Hulk Hogan, he has been defeated by other people too, but you know, maybe one of the last people to defeat Terry Bollea as Bollea. But the thing was, there was some nasty rumors going about after, of course, Hulk left the AWA for the WWF. There was one story that Gagne had apparently put out a contract on Hogan or something like that to try to break his leg or something like that. But as we all know, that never came to fruition. So, anyways, on to our last piece of niche history here. As we move ahead, I believe it's 2008. On this date in 2008, Sunrise's Battle Spirit Shonen Topa Bashin premiered on this date back 15 years ago, the date back in 2008. Back in 2008, Sunrise's Spirit Battles, or Battle Spirit Shonen Topa Bashin premiered on this date back in 2008. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Let's see. Tomorrow night, Timothy Olsen will be joining me as we will be looking back at comics that went on sale in December of 1939. Tomorrow night, we'll be focusing in on comics that went on sale from what would eventually become Archie Comics, known by a different name, MLJ Enterprises, I believe, back then. Okay, you don't have to fill me on some of the Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan history. Go sometimes. Sometimes. Thanks, buddy. No problem. Oh, seriously. Break a leg? Never heard that. Yeah, there was that scuttlebutt going around. Wasn't really discovered too much or talked about until years later. But yeah, so that was one story that was out there for many a years. But anyways, with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow when we go through our historical comic retrospect. Love you always, Mikestand. All right, so I will hopefully see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.